Hi everyone. Today we are going to cover exploring relationship between variables, which can be done in two ways, that can be used with the help of scatter plots, or we can use two-way cross tabulation method. Then we will see what do we mean by data quality and how do we measure it. Then we will see data remediation of low quality data, and we will see data pre-processing techniques. We will just cover overview of data pre-processing technique in this video. The detailed working of this individual methods will be later on covered in unit number 4. Let us start with exploring relationship between data variables. Scatter plot is one of the method to capture the relationship between two variables. Now these variables are nothing but two attributes in a given data set. So in a given data set we might have more than one attribute. Like if we have seen student data set, we would have marks, we would have age, we would have phone number of a student. So all these are nothing but the variable to the input to the data set. So scattered plot are actually used to visualize bivariate relationship. That means changing in a one variable, how it affects the changing a value of another variable. So that is what we call it as bivariate relationship. Relationship between two variables. A scatter plot is basically a two-dimensional plot where dots are actually drawn on coordinate system, which is providing coordinate values. Over the x-axis, we will make one attribute. Over the y-axis, we will have another attribute. Now make sure that both of these attributes are quantitative attributes. That means quantitative attributes are those numerical attributes whose difference between any two values can be found out. In order to understand the relationship between any two variables, that means changing the value of one variable changes value of another variable by how much time or how much amount is being calculated or is being found out with the help of scattered plot. Here each dot is over the plot is actually resembling one data row. That means one data sample. And it is actually showing one variable is determined. It is showing the position of one variable over the horizontal axis, and its position over the y is showing its value over the another variable, that is over the y axis. And this value is actually determining over the horizontal as well as vertical axis. This is an auto MPG plot of displacement. This is my one attribute, or I would call it as variable, say for example. Okay, so one and the same thing. And another attribute over MP auto MPG is the miles per gallon attribute. Make sure that this both of these attributes are numerical values. So I can have scales over the x plot as well as over the y axis also I can have a scale. Now we all know that miles per gallon starts with 0 and goes up to say 50 maximum. Alright, and this displacement also starts with 0 and go up to say 500 for example. Alright, and we will read out one sample from given data table and try to plot that sample over the x coordinate of displacement value and y coordinate from its MPG value. Say for example, if I plot this particular sample, okay, and this particular sample will have its acceleration or displacement at value 20, say, and its MPG value is at say 29. Now here from scatter plot, what you can find out? You can find out something called as outlier. Now how to find this outlier? We will try to find out the pattern given inside this data set. Now if you look closely, all these dots are actually following this particular curve. Now, what do we mean by this? This curve is having negative correlation, although it is non-linear. Okay, this is a curve. This is not a line. That's why I say this is non-linear negative correlation. So this non-linear negative correlation says that if displacement increases, my miles per gallon decreases. By what amount, that will be given by the equation of this curve will be give the relationship between displacement and miles per gallon. But here one sample is such that which is not following the curvature of this curve. That means it is not following the nature of this curve or an equation of this curve, for which displacement increases, my miles per gallon doesn't decreases, because other automobile or other samples are there whose displacement is lesser. That means around from 50 to 150 is there if their miles per gallon is 35. That means if miles per gallon is having value 35, then my displacement must range from 50 to 150. But for this, it is not 50 to 150. Okay, and for any data set which is having displacement, say 250, must have miles per gallon from 15 to 25, from 15 to 25. Okay, so this relationship is being given by this curve equation, but here my data, this outlier data says that if displacement is 250, miles per gallon is 35. So which is not either following in this relation or not following this relation. So this kind of data within the data set is called as an outlier. They must get removed before the data is fed to machine learning model, because if this kind of wrong data is given input to machine, it might get predict output based on this wrong data and might get train model wrongly. That's why it is important to find out the nature or the relationship between the variables or attributes of given data set in a form of scatter plot. Now, as you can see, this outlier says displacement is 250, then miles per gallon will around be 38. But if any 38 miles per gallon, the displacement must be at say 80, 50 to 80 range. Or if any displacement at the range of 250 is there, their miles per gallon must range from 15 to 25. So obviously this outlier doesn't follow the nature of curve. That's why we say it is not fitting to the data, remaining data set. Likewise, this is the scattered plot of another two attribute. One attribute now, miles per gallon is now over the x attribute. Since it is a numerical attribute, I can have easily scale over here. And the second attribute that we have chosen is now horsepower. Again, you can see this is following the curl curvature, and the relation or the equation of this curve is not known, but obviously we can find out some outliers. We can find out those rows which is not saving or not having data set as per the other data set's nature. Now this is the scatter plot of AutoMPG. We know that there are in total 5 numerical attributes. First numerical attribute is MPG, second numerical is displacement, horsepower, weight and acceleration. I can make a combination of any two and plot their graph in a form of scatter plot. So if MPG is over a y-axis and displacement over the x-axis, the graph we get is this, and we get three outliers in that case. Now this row is MPG row. So every time over the y-axis we have MPG. So here also we have an MPG over y-axis, MPG over the y-axis. Now this column is also MPG. That means every time my x-axis is MPG. Here also x-axis MPG, MPG, and this is also x-axis MPG. Now this row is displacement. That means here at every column which y-axis represent is actually showing displacement. Alright, and this row, this column is also displacement. So this x-axis in this column will be always displacement. Alright, so I can choose any graph and measure its value. Okay, so I can measure the difference between any two values. Over here, as you can see, this is the MPG versus, this is displacement versus MPG graph, and they are having non-linear correlation, and we have total 3 outlier samples. Similarly, we can have another graph which is having weight on their x-axis, and over the y we have horsepower. Now here you can see there are two clusters where weight and horsepowers are gathered, and we have only one outlier. So two groupings can be found out which are showing some relationship between horsepower and weight, and one sample is not fitting in either of this grouping. And likewise, I can measure this particular graph which is having weight on y-axis. This is my weight, and this is an MPG column. That's why this is an MPG over x-axis. So again, we can find there is a negative correlation, and there are no set of these outliers which may found in within the MPG and weight graph. So this is an important measure of looking inside or measuring the variables, finding the relationship between two variables with the help of scattered plot. Now, since the scattered plot information can also be converted or can also be captured with the help of something called as two-way cross tabulation. Now, what is two-way cross tabulation? A two-way cross tabulation is a cross tab, or it also called as contingency table or contingency matrix. Now, in order to find out relationship between two categories or two attribute in a concise way, we prepare something called as matrix form, which has some rows and some columns. One number of columns are nothing but values of one attribute, and number of rows are nothing but value of another attribute. Let us understand this particular cross tab or simply contingency table or two-way cross table in short with the help of an example. Let us assume we have this MPG data table. This is an auto MPG data set from University of California, and we select three attributes: a cylinder attribute, model year attribute, and the origin attribute. Actual data set actually contains 398 rows, but here the snapshot only contains 9 rows because it is not possible to show you all these data samples in a single screen. Okay, so this kind of data is actually consisting of 398 samples, and here by observing these 398 sample we can say that for value cylinder we can have possible values 3, 4, 5 and 6 only. For model year, we can have values from 70 to 82. That means this is a data from 1970s to 1982. And the origin, the zone at which these models are actually getting published are actually 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so there are only the three possible values for origin. So origin can one can stand for North America, two can stand for Europe, and three can stand for Asia. So this is one of the cross tab for model year. Over the X columns are model year, and origin is nothing but the zone in which the car is being manufactured. So model year ranges from 70 and goes up to 82. Since these values are discrete value, we are able to prepare this table. If the values are not discrete, that means if values are real values or continuous value, we might not be able to prepare this crossway tabulation. So here important point should be marked that it only works for discrete values. Okay, cannot work for real values or continuous values. Now origin is also one. Origin is also real, discrete 1, 2 and 3. In the year 70, how many entries are there which are manufactured the car in zone 1? So there are only 22 samples. So with this type of table, if prepared, we can find out number of vehicles that have been produced in each year. That means if I want to find out how many years, in how many vehicles have been manufactured in say 1976. So I will sum up the column of all these. Okay, and we can obviously find out the number of vehicles that have been manufactured in a particular zone. Say in zone 3, how many actually number of vehicles that are manufactured. So I will sum up all these column values, or I can find out vehicles that are manufactured in 70s of in zone 2 and vehicles that are manufactured in zone 2 only but in 80s. So we can perform something called as rolling up and drilling down. Okay, now I will explain you later, but let me show you another way of representation where we have over the columns we have origin, that means 1, 2 and 3, and over the rows we have cylinder. Cylinder can take value 3, 4, 5, 6 and 8, and we have put it all the counts which are with matching cylinders and origin values. So we will count the number of rows which contains origin as 1 as well as having cylinder number 3. So there are 0 data sets like that, and likewise we have calculated all the values. They help us to understand number of specific cylinder car that is being produced in region. Say in region 3, how many cars have been manufactured of say cylinder having 8. So I will sum up all these values. We can also find out count of cars per region. That means in a particular region, how many cars have been manufactured. So in region 2, how many cars have been manufactured. All those cars which are manufactured in region 3 but having 4 or less cylinders. These are the cars in region 3 but having more than 4 cylinders. So we need to sum up all these values. Okay, so we have seen cross tab for cylinder and origin. We have seen cross tab for model and origin. We can obviously find out, or we can make a cross tab for cylinder and model also. Okay, so we have three attributes which were of type discrete. Okay, attribute 1 is cylinder, attribute 2 is of type model year, and attribute 3 is origin. Okay, so all these three attributes are of discrete type, and we can make combination of any two to produce a cross tab. Now, what is this cross tab? We can perform an operation that is called as rolling up and drilling down. Rolling up is nothing but generating summary of data. As you can see, this table is very large and it is very difficult to look at all these numbers. And here I want to find out the number of cars that are having 4 or less cylinders and which are manufactured in a year of 75 before it and after the year of 75. So I need to divide my table into this category because all these vehicles are having lesser or equal to 4 cylinder and all these vehicles are having more than 4 cylinders. Also, I want to visualize manufactured those cars which were on or before of 1975 and after of year 1975. So I will roll up, I will take summarized view of a same table in such a way that will have only 4 portions. This is my portion number 1 or cell number 1, this is cell number 2, this is cell number 3 and cell number 4. So look at this. As you can see, now my cylinder model cylinders can have 3 to 4 cylinders or more than 4 cylinders. And years are ranged from 70 to 75 and 76 onwards to 82. And their values that we have seen over here, as you can see here, values are added up in order to generate a single cell value. Similarly, to generate this cell value, I need to add up all these values. So here we have got values 74, 134, 107 and 87. So we can obviously gain insight over the detail level which we want, and we can obviously summarize at an abstract level at which we want to see the data. So this rolling up process is actually generating summarized view of data, and here we have covered number of cylinders which are lesser than or equals to 4 and in a year 75 before or after that. Now let us consider data quality and remediation. What do we mean by quality of data? If you give good input, you will get good output. And if you give bad input to machine learning algorithm, obviously you will get bad output. The success of machine learning is hugely dependent on the quality of data. Now, when I say data is of better type quality, what do we mean by that? Better quality of data will help us to achieve better prediction or better classification. That means a data which is flawless is not possible in real life. It might have some flaws. Now, what are those flaws which degrade the quality of data are the data element with missing values or data element which is having surprisingly different values as compared to other element which we call outlier. We have already seen outlier in a scattered plot and how to identify them. Let us look into detail the flaws of data which reduces the quality of data. So the factors which lead to the data quality are incorrect sample set selection. We can select the data from a given data set for training the data incorrectly, or whatever the data we have selected must contain some error. Say for example, imagine yourself you want to predict the sale in a near future. That means at the end of the month or in an incoming quarter, incoming year, what will be the sales of your product? And for to make that model, you are selecting a data set of only festival period, and you are trying to predict a sales of an year. So here you have selected incorrect sample. Because of wrong sample selection, your data quality degrades because it does not fit model suitably, and might happen that your future prediction which is done by machine learning algorithm might go wrong. Or take another example where you want to predict the result of poll of an election, but to make a machine learning model, you select a data set from one region only. That means a region which are having more number of females as compared to males. You have selected more samples of a youth as compared to old person and so on. So you have chosen something called as biased data or kind of data which is not explored completely. So incorrect selection of sample data may also degrade the quality of data set. Another type of quality degradation issue is error in data. Say for example, data is collected manually or entered into the system manually and there are some mistakes that have been made. Say for example, when we are recording a value, say 20.67 is recorded as 2.067 or 206.7, or it might happen the data required input in terms of but input is instead in a form of centimeters, that or it might happen data input is required in a form of kgs or input is provided in a form of lbs. These kind of data might result in something called as an outlier. So make sure if data quality is degraded because of incorrect sample selection, your output may go wrong, and if there is an error in data, it may result in outliers. Another form of error in the data is missing values. If data is not recorded for a particular attribute. Say for example, student name is present, roll number is present, mark is present, but age is missing. So the missing values may also degrade the quality of data and might affect the performance of machine learning model. Data quality degradation must get remediated before it is being given to the machine learning model. We can handle these outliers and missing values in different ways. To handle outliers, we have three different steps or three different methods. We can either remove an outlier, we can impute them, or we can cap them. Similarly, to handle missing values, we can eliminate the record with missing value, we can impute the record with missing value, or we can estimate record value which is missing. Now, what do we mean by removing an outliered record? A record whose value which is not following or not matching with any other records in a given data set is an outlier record. So, any number of records having outliers, you may remove them. As simple as that. So, your data set will be now of good quality. But it is not always advisable to remove outliers from your system. We can also impute them. Imputation means you can find out the mean or median of a complete data set or a data set with some similar values. And instead of those outliers, you can replace those values with the mean or median. So that is called as an imputation. Or third option, you can do capping. Now, what is capping? You have to prepare interquartile range. The IQR, the one which we have seen in box plot. So those box plots will help us to do capping. Any value which is an outlier, which is outside of 1.5 into interquartile range, we replace those values by 5th percentile lower limit and 95 percentile above upper limit. So if outlier is falling upper side, we can use 95th percentile of a given IQR, or if that outlier is below the box plot or IQR range, we can use 5th percentile value to fill the outlier value. So this is how we can handle outlier. If there are more outlier in a given system, say if records are 400 and out of 40 are outlier, that means there are so many number of outlier, it is not advisable to remove, impute or cap them. We can make another subset or data set of those outlier and make a separate data set, and we can treat that data set as a input to some separate machine learning model. We can build another model for two different groups, a data set which is not having an outlier and another data set which is only composed of an outlier. We combine the result of these two models. Now, how to handle missing values? Missing valued records are very less. We can simply erase those records from system because it will not affect the performance of our model. Say for example, 398 are the number of rows in a given data set sample, and there are only 6 rows for which we have missing values. We can simply eliminate them because we still have 392 records to train our model. Imputing records with missing value, we can impute missing values in quantitative attribute also as well as to qualitative attribute. Now inside quantitative attribute, we calculate mean, median or mode, whatever suitable of remaining values under the same attribute. Say for example, age is missing, so I will calculate mean, median or mode of an age of a complete data set and write down this mean, median or mode everywhere where values of age is missing. If say acceleration value is missing, I will take mean, median or mode of an acceleration attribute and substitute its value wherever the missing value is possible. For a qualitative attribute, say for example blood group A, B, O positive, AB negative and so on, these kind of attribute we can impute by taking mode. Mode is nothing but most frequently occurring set of items we can find out under the same attribute. So under the blood group only we will find out what are the most possible values for imputing a record, and that value is taken and substituted wherever the missing value is found for blood group. One more approach is there to impute this record of missing values. Instead of finding mean, median or mode of a complete attribute, we can find out mean, median or mode of a relatively close record. Not all records are used to calculate under a same attribute, but only some records which are closer to the missing value record is only used to calculate or to impute the value. And the last one is to estimate the record with missing values. So missing values can be estimated from another similar data points, that means those data points which are nearer to it, which some records which are having same closer attributes to it. Say for example, we are missing a weight of a Russian student 12 years old and having height of 5 feet. Now I can find out weight of another Russian student, because Russian student is close to Russian student, which is having around an age of 12 years. That means any student which is having 11.5 years age or 12.5 years age or 13 years of age, which is close to 12 years of age, and also having height closer to 5 feet. That means any student which is having 11.5 years of age and having height close to 4 feet 9 inches will be having the same weight as of this missing Russian student. Okay, so this is nothing but estimating records with missing values. So we have seen what are the factors that affects the data quality and how to remediate the qualities. Now we will see data dimensionality reduction. Now basically what do we mean by the dimensionality? Dimensionality is nothing but the number of attributes of a given data set. In a current machine learning scenario, if data is emerging from medical science or any IoT devices or some smart devices, it might have more than hundreds of attributes to it. Now these many attributes will take lot of amount of computation space as well as time in order to process it. Now, all features, all attributes, or all dimensions are altogether not required to improve the performance of algorithm. Some attributes might also degrade the performance of algorithm. So we are only interested in finding those attributes which might improve the performance of algorithm. Most machine learning algorithms much performs better if the dimensionality is reduced. That means my attributes are less in number. Now these attributes are, if required, needed to get supplied, but irrelevant attributes are not required. Irrelevant attributes only slow down the performance or it degrades the performance of a model. So dimensionality reduction helps in reducing irrelevant and redundant features. Features, attributes and dimensions are one and the same thing, or I would say simply a column. So make it easier to understand a model if the number of features, number of attributes, or I would say number of dimensions are involved in learning activities are less. So dimensionality reduction is a process of transforming data from high dimension space to low dimension space. Say originally there are 350 dimensions and later on they have been reduced to 87 dimensions only, so that the low dimensional representation retains the same meaningful property of original data. This point is very important, that reducing the dimension, reducing the attributes of data does not reduce in information which is stored inside data. So we are retaining the information, the knowledge inside the data itself, but we are only reducing the number of columns, number of dimensions. That is called as process of dimensionality reduction. One of the method of dimensionality reduction is called as PCA, Principal Component Analysis. Now this PCA is a statistical technique in order to find or to convert your high dimensionality into less dimensionality data. So whatever the data points are there over the scattered plot, we try to fit two or more vectors. These vectors are orthogonal to each other and we will try to cover data points as maximum as possible. Here challenge is that if there are n dimensions that can be reduced to only k dimension, the loss which is due to this transformation must get minimized as possible. Okay, so we will look into the procedure of PCA in more detail with the help of an example in unit 4. But for now, you need to just remember it is a statistical technique which converts many n dimension to the k dimension reduction. It captures maximum variability in data and can produce a data set which is having almost zero covariance. Another method of dimensionality reduction is singular value decomposition, which is again in detail will be covered in unit number 4. Another method of dimensionality reduction is feature subset selection. Now, what do we mean by feature subset selection? There will be some set of attributes which may be redundant to each other. Now redundant means they are giving same information as of first attribute. Feature subset selection is trying to find out optimal subset from set of entire features which reduces the computational cost of model. That means this will not affect the performance or accuracy of model, but this is going to decrease the time taken by the model to process my data. So for both supervised and unsupervised learning, we can make use of feature subset selection. It try to eliminate those features which are irrelevant. That means those features which are not contributing any information to the data set, that is irrelevant features, and redundant features. That means those features that are giving same information as of previous features. So irrelevant features, they do not play any significant role in a data set. Their information provided by them is almost zero. And redundant features which are contributing same information of some other features. So these kind of features are removed and we create a minimal selected features that is called as feature subset selection. So in today's lecture, we have seen how to explore a relationship between two variables with the help of scattered plots and two-way cross tabulation. We have seen what is data quality and what are the factors which degrade the data quality and how to remediate to improve the data quality. We have seen pre-processing techniques such as dimensionality reduction and feature subset selection. Obviously, we have not covered in detail dimensionality reduction and feature subset selection because they will be covered in unit number 4 in detail. Thank you everyone for watching this video. This is Munira Topia signing off.